My cousin 23F's husband 30M avoids her like the plague and gives no valid reason. Why is he doing this? TLDR, my cousin's husband has only come to see her twice since they got married. He works in a different island, but he is perfectly able to come much more often like other people working at the same place. He gives no valid reason and has shown several red flags. I created this account solely to get some outside insight into this situation. My cousin, we'll call her Alice, started dating her now husband Josh, all fake names, when she was 17 and he was 23. This is also my first time realizing their age at the beginning of their relationship. I had assumed she wasn't a minor when they started dating. We live in an island nation where each island is separated by the ocean. A couple thousand people live in each island. My cousin lives in Island A while I live in the capital city. So although we are close, we don't speak every day, and I usually have no idea about what's happening over there in the island. When Alice first told me about Josh back when they were dating, I had assumed he was a decent guy. He supposedly had a construction company and he was building homes for other islanders. So a couple of months go by, and I started getting wind of some of my other family members and other islanders talking about some drama on Facebook. It was related to Josh and his fraud scam company. It seemed that he had taken huge amounts of money from various people to build their houses and had not delivered. Once this news began spreading within the island and within our family, Alice defended Josh fiercely, and it seemed like she was the only one taking his side. I did not at that point form any opinions on it, as I live over here in the city and I don't know the details. This talk drama came up several times and I too thought that maybe he did indeed scam them, because my other family members who had paid him had no reason to lie, as well as several other islanders. Due to this, Alice's dad told her to end her relationship with him. Alice's dad is a very good, honest man who never badmouths anyone and always looks for the best in people. So when he told his daughter to end it, I knew that Josh had indeed scammed all these people for their money. Alice pretended to break up with Josh, but dated him in secret for several months. She avoided bringing him up but eventually told our cousin group that they were dating in secret. Given Alice's faith in him, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. After several months, her parents and the rest of the family became aware that she was still dating him, but for the most part did not say much regarding the matter. I think Alice eventually brought up the topic of marriage to her father, and he told her that she was not to marry him until he paid off all his debts, which I think is because he was afraid if Josh were to suddenly pass away, Alice would inherit the huge debt. Her dad tried to get her to break up with him, but when she didn't, decided to not force it on her. Before they got into their relationship, Josh got into a terrible accident and damn near lost his leg. Everyone thought his leg was gone for good and that he'd be disabled for life. When she first met him, he could barely walk. Alice still fell in love with and he was able to make a full recovery and keep his leg. After several months of this, one day, Alice told me that somebody had created a fake ID of hers on Facebook, using her name and pictures. She asked me to help her report it and get others to report it as well. So I posted a screenshot of her real Facebook page to make people aware that this was the real account and the other one was fake. After I posted this, the next morning I wake up to a call from an ex-coworker who never calls me. I found it odd and picked up the call, only to have her tell me that she saw the screenshot I had posted. The screenshot showed a picture of Alice's profile with her profile picture and Facebook cover image, which was a picture of her and Josh. My ex-coworker, we'll call her Nancy, tells me that the guy in the picture is her boyfriend and they had been dating for the past 6 months. After seeing my post, she had gone through my cousin's page to realize that Alice and Josh were also in a relationship. This happened over 1.5 years ago, so I don't remember exactly what Josh had done to hide his online presence from Nancy, but I believe he had blocked Nancy on Facebook and told her that he did not use the platform. So Nancy could see on Alice's profile that Josh was being tagged in pictures and comments by Alice and his family members as well, but his name was not clickable for her. So I immediately call Alice and tell her what Nancy had told me, and all hell breaks loose. Alice calls and yells at Josh. I was under the impression that she even broke up with him. She now tells me she never broke up, but things were really bad. I connect Alice to Nancy, who tells her all the details of their relationship. It turned out that while talking to Alice about hoping to get married, he was also talking to Nancy about marriage. It also turned out that Nancy had lent him quite a lot of money to help pay some of his debts from the failed construction business. Nancy assumed he would be her future husband, so his problems were hers too. It also turns out that Josh's brother was aware of the dual relationships and did not tell Alice. I am not aware of all the details of how things went down, but what I know is Alice was angry, heartbroken, devastated and constantly crying. This was her first love and her only relationship, her entire life. She had been planning their wedding when she suddenly found out he had a whole other girlfriend. Josh's family all really love Alice and knew that she was the best woman he could get. Most would say she is the best woman in the entire island, and his parents were well aware of that and wanted her as their daughter-in-law. When they found out about his cheating, they were so worried he'd lose Alice, that they all called her and begged her not to leave him. While we, her cousins, told Alice not to ever go back to him, Josh's family members were constantly asking her to forgive him and downplaying the seriousness of the issue. Josh had told Alice and his family members that what was going on with Nancy wasn't serious. When Alice asked him why he did that, his answer was, she helped me pay off some of my debts, so I unintentionally ended up being with her. As if that is a valid excuse. Seeing that it wasn't just my dear cousin suffering because of this lunatic, but also my ex-coworker, I told Nancy to demand her money back. I wasn't going to let him get away with scamming my ex-coworker. I think I even told her to threaten him, saying that she will file a police report. Nancy managed to get her money back, which was paid to her by one of his family members who I believe basically wanted to bury the infidelity as soon as possible so they can convince Alice to take him back. They also probably knew that another scam fraud allegation on him was not going to end up well. So they paid her, but also yelled at her, as if she was the villain in this. She had no idea he had a girlfriend, and the minute she found out, she outed him through me. Both Nancy and Alice were victims in this. Nancy too suffered a great deal because of this. I suppose Alice suffered more cause she had been dating him for longer and Nancy was essentially the other woman. After Nancy was paid, Josh blocked her number and cut all ties with her and went to begging Alice to take him back. He promised her he would never do something like that again. We, her cousins, begged her not to fall for that trap, but I suppose she was manipulated by the constant begging of Josh and his family, including his mom, sister, brother, etc. Alice did not tell her parents about this situation, cause they were already not happy with his debt situation. This would for sure get him banned from our life for eternity. It's also worth noting that before he got busted, Alice was in the capital city, admitted in the hospital with dengue. He had come to the city during this time but did not bother calling nor visiting her despite being aware of her situation. After yelling and scolding him for days, Alice eventually forgave him. As most of his cousins live in the capital city, we can only talk to her over the phone or via text message. So before we knew it, she had forgiven him and the relationship was back on track. We all expressed our disapproval for it. To be frank, we were all quite pissed. We did end up scolding her, just because we could see the obvious trap she was falling into. And the worst part was, she was now planning to get married. We made it clear that we would not attend the wedding. Her closest cousin, we'll call her Sasha, even stopped talking to her for a while. Eventually we all just decided not to bother with it, as it seems nothing we said was going to convince Alice not to marry Josh. After a few months, Alice gets married. Our parents knew we were unhappy about the marriage, but told us to wish her the best and patch things up, as we were all basically sisters. Because even though we hated Josh, we still love Alice. We pretended to let it go, although we were always sour about it. Sasha attended the wedding, while me and my sister could not, as we were unable to travel during that time. After the wedding and their honeymoon, Alice, her husband, came to our city and Alice suggested going to dinner with her husband. We honestly did not want to, but did it for Alice and we were cordial through it. It was awkward, but we tried to make conversation. At the end of the day, we just wanted Alice to be happy, and we did really hope that perhaps he was now a changed man, although we were always skeptical. We just did not talk about that anymore. About 6 months go by. My sister, cousins and I heard mentions from other family members that Josh rarely goes to visit Alice since their wedding. For context, Josh works at a different island. The whole island there is designated for a hotel. This is quite common in our country. Lots of people go work in other islands in the hospitality industry as it makes good money. So despite having married, Alice is still living with her parents and he is working at the island hotel. Although Josh and many other people work in different islands, they always get to travel back to their islands to be with their family. If the islands are too far apart, usually the employees just work on all of their off days and collect their off days, as in they will save them for later so they can take all the off days together and travel back home. They are also given annual leaves which are longer and they can apply for them about 3 times a year. It's pretty normal practice here. When I first heard wind of it, I didn't give it much thought, as it is expected that spouses who work in other islands won't always be there with you every day. I just didn't know how bad Alice's situation actually was. And in the beginning of their marriage Alice had always mentioned that he treated her very well. Besides that, she never mentioned any issues, and neither did we ask. Given the history, we figured not talking about Josh at all was the best thing to do. About 6 months after their wedding, we go on a cousin's trip abroad. The trip was mainly for my daughter's medical reasons. We go every 6 months, and this time the cousins decided to join us. While we always talk about random things, I do hear light-hearted mentions of things like where on earth is Josh? But it was all light-hearted and part of usually fun conversations. During the trip, one day we were in a mall, eating. It was my cousins, me and my husband. The topic of where the hell is Josh came up again, and as always it was light-hearted talk. My other cousin Sasha was there as well, and her husband used to work in an island hotel too. Jokingly I said to Sasha something along the lines of, oh, but even if he's away for some time, it must be super exciting on the days he comes, right? I wish my husband would go and come back like that. And then naturally the conversation went to Josh. We asked things like, when did he last come see you, and I said, does it feel like you're married? Because after all she was still living with her parents. Suddenly Alice broke down in tears, in the middle of the mall. We were all shocked and didn't know what to say. Alice's sister, we'll call her Rachel, who was also present there, mentions to us that things were going really bad and that Josh had only shown up like once since they had gotten married. By this time it's been more than half a year. Now we know it's not easy for people in that job to come by too often, but 6 months did not make sense at all. What about all his off days? What about other leaves that he can take? We consoled Alice, and once she calmed down we tried to understand what was going on. Alice told us that Josh claims he is just incredibly busy, that he just can't come to her. The journey from his island to hers is not that difficult and takes just a few hours. Lots of other people do it. That's common practice to go back to their families and spouses whenever they can. Alice tells us that Josh said it's the season. For context, there's a season where there's an influx of tourists and an off-season where the number goes down. Most people can't tell what is when, but those familiar with the industry will have an idea. I mumbled quietly to Sasha and to my husband, but it's off-season right now. We did our best to console Alice and do more quality activities with her through the course of our vacation. We did our best to take her mind off things. But I did see her often on a phone call late at night, arguing and/or crying over the phone. I could assume she was complaining to Josh about his long absence. It also turned out that while we were on the vacation in another country, Josh had traveled to the capital city because he was sick. He had planned to travel back to his work island just one day before we would travel back to the country, to the capital city where he was currently at. Alice tried to reason with him over the phone like, can't you wait there just one more day so we can see each other? After constant fighting and Alice begging, he decided he would wait in the city one more day. So the day we came back to the country, Alice was so happy. She got dressed and got ready and happily went to spend the night with him. He traveled back to his work island just the following day. That was the second time they had met since their wedding and him leaving for work. I assumed that was that, and things had worked out. It's been about 5 to 6 months since then. It has been more than a year to their marriage, and now Alice has confided in us that Josh never came back. That he almost never calls her. It's usually her calling him. If she stopped calling and texting to see, he would bother checking in on her. They would go weeks or months without any contact. Alice also recently found out that Josh had taken a leave from work and had spent 2 weeks in the capital city without bothering to go to his hometown, or rather home island, where he knows Alice is desperately waiting for him to come. He didn't tell her where he was, he just decided he won't go to her. When she found out and questioned him, his excuse was that he simply just wanted to stay by himself. Which to me sounds like I'd rather be alone than be with you. Alice is helpless. She doesn't know why he is behaving this way, why he does everything to avoid coming to her even when he perfectly can, why he doesn't call or check up on her. Whenever she voices these reasonable complaints, he gaslights her and twists it around and makes her the problem. You're always complaining, you're always upset, you're always doubting me. I haven't seen all of their conversations, but from what Alice has shown us, he brings up divorce quite often. Even when she is sick, he says, oh, I am making you sick and worried. It'll be better for you if we separated. Oh, and his mom, who lives in the capital city, knew he was here without bothering to go to his wife, and his mother also hid this fact from Alice. Alice had also heard from a former friend of Josh that there were rumors in their hotel that Josh was involved with a coworker. But he said they were simply rumors and had no hard proof. When Josh found out this, his ex-friend had told Alice this, Josh was furious and threatened his ex-friend to never talk to Alice. This to me screams guilty. Another thing I need to mention is that Josh originally had their wedding pics up on his Facebook and Instagram, but recently decided to delete his accounts on both platforms. He seems to have made a new Instagram account. So far the account is blank with no pictures and he seems to follow 8 people. As it's private we can't see who he is following. He is unaware that we are aware of his new Instagram account. Here's what I think. 1. I suspect that Josh has a double life. Or else why did he stay here in the city for that long? What for, when he had all the time in the world to go to Alice? 2. I suspect he has another woman and that's why he often brings up divorce. So that if Alice gets fed up and asks for it, he can tell his family and parents and everyone else that Alice wanted it. Because everyone wants him to stay with Alice and would hate him if he divorced her when she was always good to him. 3. He deleted his Facebook account because that was easier than to just delete their wedding pictures and have everyone question him. He probably wants to hide these pictures from someone. That's just my speculation though. Also, Alice is seriously considering divorce at this point. I have paid for Alice to travel to the capital city to stay with us, so she can hopefully get her mind off Josh. She is constantly crying and depressed. We've advised her a lot and are always supporting and consoling her. I showed her a YouTube video and asked her if she wanted to post her story here. I posted this with her permission. We think some outside unbiased opinions can give some clarity. Is there anything to explain this behavior?